I mean, when's the last time you saw a soccer mom, take her kids out to the soccer game, and all the soccer moms standing there, talking about their little child prodigies. Mine played Bach on the piano, at 4, and mine, is going to do this and that and the other. And one of them says, well, my little Mary, she wants to be a farmer. And all the other soccer moms say, wow, that's cool. I'm so impressed. No, why would you want to do that? So once we've established the raw fertilizer value, let's kind of back up here, if you will, take a broader perspective of this whole thing and talk about a carbon economy from a macro standpoint. So again, just to establish, what we're doing is we're trading fertilizer value for on-site carbon, what I call in situ carbon. People say, this sounds warm and fuzzy, but does it really work? Does it make sense? I mean, we've got, all these schemes, cap and trade, and we've got all this carbon thing going on with, climate and all that. I don't want to get bogged down in that. What I am trying to suggest is that if we just imagine for a minute, if we traded all of the money currently spent on chemical fertilizer in the whole country, just imagine. I don't know what that figure is, but it's a big figure. All right. If we traded all that money that we spent on chemical fertilizer and invested that in carbon, in a carbon economy, imagine what a different country, what a different world we'd have. Let's just think about the U.S. for now, and we could, talk about this around the whole world. But think about it in terms of, first of all, think about how much biomass, how much carbon gets used up every year in forest fires. Right now, we're spending, $4 billion a year fighting forest fires, and that doesn't count the houses that get burned, people's lives that get lost, all that sort of thing. So if we took that carbon that burns up in forest fires and we went in proactively and thinned out these forests and took down the diseased, the dead, the dying trees. When you go out through a lot of areas, especially the far west, they're just millions and millions of square miles of dead dead trees. And so if we harvested those for carbon, we could eliminate that whole kind of fire budget. What we're looking for is more forest and fewer trees. One of my biggest disappointments in the last few years was going to visit Yellowstone Park. They had fires there, whatever it was, several years ago, and all those trees are coming back, but they're thick as hair on a dog's back, and they don't allow any saws to go in and thin them out. Right now those 15 and 20 foot next generation trees ought to be thin and all that biomass spread. Anyway, I get on my soapbox and forgive me, but that's what I'm talking about here, is that we don't have to let all this go up in flames. We can actually utilize it. And the beauty of utilizing the carbon for our fertilizer as opposed to chemical fertilizer is that it actually builds soil. It actually builds soil. No soil is built with 10-10-10 chemical fertilizer. It's built, again, nature's template is decaying organic matter. That's how soil has been built since creation, and that's what the soil biology needs. And so on our farm, for example, in 1961, when we came, we averaged less than 1% organic matter on the open land, on the pasture land. 1% organic matter. Today, 60 years later, we average a little over 8% organic matter. Now think about the fact that 1% of organic matter is enough sponge in the soil to hold 20,000 gallons of water per acre. So we've gone 7 percentage points. That 7 times 20,000 is 140,000 gallons of water per acre that we can hold today that we couldn't hold in 1961 when we came. I mean, think about that, from drought protection, flood protection, to make that sponge. And so, you get this fantastic soil sponge with organic matter because you're feeding the soil biology. You're not trying to treat the soil as some sort of inert mechanical substance that you insert an IV and dump chemicals into. That actually cannibalizes the soil organic matter, and is one of the reasons why, you know, North America today is in general about 5 to 7 percentage points of organic matter less now on our landscape than we had before the Europeans came. And, you know, that should give us all pause to realize the level of sponginess and abundance that was here. Then you have that this actually creates more value for low quality timber. If you go to any like forestry conference, they're constantly frustrated about what do we do with, low quality Virginia pine? What do we do with paradise tree? That's a kind of invasive around here. What do we do with these, poor quality, crooked, kind of junky trees? Well, this creates value for those. There's no value at the sawmill. A lot of these are softwoods that aren't good for firewood either. They're not big enough for lumber. So what do? Well, we can chip those, and that creates value. Some of the greatest economic advantage in farming is not actually getting top dollar for a pretty log that you got. There's always a premium for good quality stuff. The trick is how do we build up a salvage price for the waste, for the junky stuff? How do we elevate that to some valuable amount? And so that's a big deal. And it actually creates an additional farm enterprise. Back early on when I used to when I did a lot of consulting, and now I'm doing a lot more, but early on, I would often get onto a farm that had the farmer there, and then he had a son or a daughter who desperately wanted to come and join the family farm, family operation. And the farmer's sitting there, he's 45, 50, 55 years old. And the next generation is 17, 18, 19, 20, desperately wanting to get on the farm. And the farmer's saying, the parent is saying, well, good night, there's no way this farm can generate 2 incomes. It's barely generating 1, or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm working in town because it can't even generate 1. And how in the world are we going to generate 2 salaries? So I'll flip over and say, show me your fertilizer budget. They flip over in their financials, and I look at the fertilizer column, and they're spending $20, $25, $30,000 a year on fertilizer. I'm saying, whoa, wait a minute. That $30,000 fertilizer budget goes a long way to actually paying another salary if you kept all those dollars at home. And so from a successional standpoint, providing an additional farm enterprise to employ another person, another generation. Remember, we're going on the premise that no farm is sustainable until it offers 2 salaries. And so in my opinion, this kind of self-creating fertilizer actually generates an additional farm enterprise that can employ the next generation. That's key. That's huge. For that alone, this is worthwhile to work on. Next, benefit here in the carbon economy is a societal labor affirmation. Look, we have spent now a couple of generations marginalizing blue-collar importance. In fact, a lot of the elitists can almost say blue-collar with a condescending spirit. I mean, this is true. I still have, emotional scars from the last time I went into the guidance counselor in high school when I was a rising senior. And she said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be a farmer. And she about went into apoplectic seizure. You got good grades, you're smart, you got capability, why would you waste that being a farmer? And I've heard that story numerous times. I wasn't unique in that. And we've got this mentality that, if you're a C student or less, you can maybe be a farmer. But if you're A and B, you want to go be a white collar. The implication is, more meaningful, more whatever, cerebrally stimulating. And I would simply say that this creating a carbon economy affirms the sacredness and nobility of of a profession that's outside, that has calluses and splinters. And so mom and dad can come in from working their day's work, and the son or daughter says, well, what did you do today, mommy, daddy? And they can say, what we did today was we caressed our ecological umbilical to make a more abundant world for you to inherit. And I suggest that societal affirmation, benefit for people who right now have been marginalized emotionally in the culture. I mean, when's the last time you saw a soccer mom, take her kids out to the soccer game, and all soccer moms are standing there, talking about their little child prodigies. Mine played Bach on the piano, at 4, and mine is going to do this and that and the other. And one of them says, well, my little Mary, she wants to be a farmer. And all the other soccer moms say, wow, that's cool. I'm so impressed. No, why would you want to do that? In fact, we've actually gotten calls from parents of stewards who want to come and join our apprentice program. Look, I didn't send my daughter or son to get a master's degree or a math degree at college to go, be a dirt farmer. So we've got that stigma in our culture, and I work on this because I really think that until our culture puts not just emotional, but economic value. Ask the average person, the shopper at a farmer's market, what would you think if your farmer drove up in a Mercedes-Benz? Now, I don't want to get all materialistic and act like that's a big deal, but how does that make you feel? It's kind of like preacher friends I have, when they're looking for a new preaching position, and they look at all the elders and they ask them, elders are asking what kind of salary they want, and the preacher says, well, I'll be glad to take an average of all of your salaries, and all of them go, whoa, wait, that's not good enough, and I mean that's way too much, right? And so that's kind of where we are in this space as well, and so I want to bring that sacredness of profession into the people who are viscerally interacting and massaging our ecological umbilical every day. Our base price here for our carbon economy is established by the commodity value of carbon in our area, which is priced by the cubic yard. The biggest buyer in our area in Virginia is the state prison system. They buy wood chips and wood waste from mills in the area by the tractor trailer load, and fire their boilers with them. And of course, there's mainly what we've just done here with all the chipping and everything. That's essentially a burned up. Most of it's burned up, even on the commodity market. Some of it certainly is used for mulching, but most of it is burned up. That price is $15 a cubic yard. So with that as a base price, we can easily see how we can create value. And so with our chipper, our actual cost with all our labor and depreciation, equipment, energy, all that stuff, runs about $4 a cubic yard, maybe at the most $5 a cubic yard. With a smaller chipper, it might run $10 or $12 a cubic yard. But if you can get all the benefits we talked about in the previous level, with upgrade, with making silvopasture, keeping fence lines clean, all those benefits, if you can take all those benefits at a value of $15 a cubic yard, you actually have created a carbon economy. And the ramifications for your personal farm as well as for society at large, and goodness, for the earthworms and the actinomycetes, the community of beings under our feet, and drought and flood and all those things, the hydrology of the landscape, the entire ecosystem has fantastic value as we establish an overall carbon economy.